She sits on 7 hills, draped in purple and scarlet, holding a golden cup, and inside it, according to the book of Revelation, are abominations. Written on her forehead, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of Archaeology.
From this golden cup, the nations have drunk.
2,000 years of arguments, wars fought over what this image means, empires identified, churches condemned, and most people who have heard of her still have no idea what the text actually says. That changes right now. Revelation chapters 17 and 18. The Apostle John is in exile on the island of Patmos, essentially a Roman prison island, when an angel shows him something. A woman sitting on a scarlet beast covered in blasphemous names, 7 heads, 10 horns. She's dressed in purple and scarlet, dripping in gold and jewels. She holds that golden cup, and she is drunk, not on wine. Drunk on the blood of the saints. The angel then gives John the key. He says, the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman is seated. 7 mountains. Every single person in John's first century audience would have recognized that immediately. There was one city, one empire, that the entire ancient world identified with 7 hills. Rome. This is not a fringe interpretation. This is where most mainstream scholars land across theological traditions. Babylon is a code name for Rome. And when you understand why John needed a code name, the whole vision opens up. Revelation was written during a period when Roman emperors, Nero, Domitian, were executing Christians for one specific crime, refusing to declare Caesar a god. To write Rome will fall openly was a death sentence. To write Babylon will fall, that was something else entirely. Babylon already carried enormous symbolic weight for a Jewish and Christian audience. This was the empire that had burned Solomon's temple to the ground, that had marched the entire Jewish population into exile. Babylon wasn't just a historical place, it was the enduring symbol of godless imperial power, the empire that demands your total loyalty and destroys you if you withhold it. When John calls Rome Babylon, he's drawing a direct line. What Babylon did to our ancestors, Rome is doing to us. And just like Babylon fell, Rome will fall too. That's the preterist reading. That revelation was a message of hope to suffering first-century Christians. The prophecies were being fulfilled in real time around the people reading them. But not everyone stops there. Jump forward 15 centuries to the Protestant Reformation, and the identification shifts dramatically. Martin Luther, John Calvin, John Knox, these are not fringe figures, these are the architects of Protestantism, and they looked at this figure in Revelation and said, that's the papacy. Their reasoning was specific. The Vatican sits, literally, on 7 hills in Rome. Purple and scarlet are the liturgical colors of Catholic bishops and cardinals, the wealth accumulated by the medieval church, the political corruption, the selling of indulgences, absolution auction to the highest bidder. They saw all of that as the abominations in the golden cup. This identification shaped centuries of Protestant-Catholic conflict. It still surfaces in certain evangelical circles today, though many theologians have stepped back from it, not because the critique of institutional corruption isn't real, but because equating an entire church with a biblical symbol of ultimate evil is a much larger claim. Then there's the futurist view, the one that drives most modern prophecy books. In this reading, Babylon isn't Rome, isn't the Catholic Church. Babylon is something that hasn't happened yet, a future global religion, a one-world economic order, maybe even a literal rebuilt city in modern-day Iraq, on the same geography where ancient Babylon once stood. Scholars like John Walvoord, writers like Hal Lindsey, this is the framework behind most of what you'll find in Christian bookstores. And then there's a fourth view, the one that doesn't pick a city at all. The idealist interpretation says Babylon is a timeless symbol, not a specific empire or institution, but a recurring pattern in human history. Wherever you find a system that centralizes power, demands total allegiance, and crushes those who won't comply, that's Babylon. It existed before Rome. It existed after Rome. It exists now. On this reading, the question isn't which city is Babylon. The question is, which system are you currently inside? Whatever interpretation you hold, the imagery itself deserves attention, because John wasn't writing randomly. The golden cup. From the outside, it's beautiful, gilded, impressive. Inside, abominations. This is the central image, a system that presents itself as glorious, civilized, the pinnacle of human achievement, while concealing what it actually runs on. Every powerful empire in history has held a version of this cup. The purple and scarlet. These colors weren't decorative choices. In the ancient world, purple dye came from sea snails, thousands of them crushed to produce a single gram of pigment, to where purple was to display wealth so vast it was almost incomprehensible. The image is of a system intoxicated with its own prestige. She is drunk with the blood of the saints. John doesn't soften this. Whatever Babylon represents, she is a power that destroys people who refuse to comply, not metaphorically, historically, literally. And then there's the word written on her forehead, mystery. A system whose true nature is hidden. What you see is not what she is. The waters she sits on, the angel explains those too. They are peoples and multitudes and nations and languages. This isn't a local power. Babylon has global reach. The whole world is drinking from the cup. Chapter 18 hits differently. An angel descends, voice like a thunderclap. Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. The merchants who built their wealth on her weep. The kings who benefited from her watch from a distance, keeping back because they're afraid of her smoke. Ships' captains stand at sea, staring at the burning. All of them are mourning not because a great evil has ended, but because their revenue stream has dried up. Heaven is told to rejoice. The fall of Babylon is justice. The collapse of a system built on exploitation, idolatry, and the destruction of people who wouldn't bow down. And there's a line near the end of chapter 18 that stops me every time I read it. And in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all who have been slain on earth. Not just the Christians Rome executed, not just the exiles Babylon deported, all of it. Babylon is held accountable for the full weight of what imperial power costs. Here's what I think most people miss about this symbol, and this is the part worth sitting with. Babylon is not ugly, she is not obviously evil. She is beautiful, she is powerful. She offers wealth, status, comfort, belonging, security. The golden cup is gilded for a reason. Seduction is the point. Revelation is not primarily a book about monsters. It's a book about allegiance. And this figure is the image John uses to ask every generation the same diagnostic question. What system are you serving? What empire has your loyalty? What are you drinking from? For first-century Christians, it was Rome's imperial cult, sacrifice to Caesar or lose everything. For Reformation thinkers, it was institutional religion that had traded the gospel for political power. For us, the answer is less obvious, which might be exactly the point. Consumer capitalism promises a good life. Nationalism promises security and identity. Ideology of any stripe promises belonging, purpose, a place in the story. All of them, at their extreme, make the same demand, total allegiance. All of them, at their extreme, hold a golden cup. The call in Revelation 18:4 is direct. Come out of her, my people, lest you take part in her sins, lest you share in her plagues. Come out, don't let your identity be swallowed by the system. This is one of the most misused images in Christian history, weaponized to demonize enemies, deployed to justify conflicts, reduced to political ammunition. But underneath all of that, the symbol is doing something far more serious and far more personal. It's asking whether you can see the cup clearly, whether the beauty of the system you're embedded in has made it impossible to see what's actually inside, whether you've mistaken prestige for righteousness, wealth for blessing, power for truth. Babylon falls. History has confirmed this over and over. Every empire that has ever declared itself permanent is now a ruin or a memory. The text is not uncertain about this. The only question Revelation leaves open is where you'll be standing when it happens.